talk antioxidants. If you've looked into supplementation or longevity, you've probably heard of glutathione, referred to as your body's most powerful defense system, the master antioxidant, things along those lines. Perhaps you've even tried an antioxidant or two and had a mixed experience. Maybe you didn't notice anything. Well, our guest this week sent me his antioxidant product to try, a glutathione product, and I was blown away because this was the first time that I actually felt a significant shift from an antioxidant supplement. I'm not alone. I'm not at liberty to disclose the different people that he works with, but suffice to say that a lot of people are actually feeling a difference from this product and, of course, improving their health. That's partially because things like stress, toxins, and even intense exercise can deplete your glutathione levels faster than your body can replenish them. Our guest this week is Dr. Nayan Patel, and in it, he shares how this one particular antioxidant dramatically improve recovery, optimize performance, and support longevity with one simple ingredient. Of course, we also discuss the essentials, things like water, magnesium, minerals, diet, balancing oxidative stress levels, and a whole lot more. Dr. Patel is a renowned pharmacist, a wellness expert, and thought leader specializing in customized medication and nutrition plans. He's been doing this since 1999, and he's now trusted by celebrities, CEOs, and physicians. He's also the author of a book called The Glutathione Revolution. Then, after 11 years of clinical research, he developed a patented topical glutathione delivery system, fixing the issue of absorption, which is common across most antioxidant supplements. So yes, the product we discuss is a topical, a couple sprays onto your belly and let it sit, or you can wash it off after 45 minutes. It does have a sulfurous odor because it's glutathione. Personally, I was a little self-conscious of it when I was in the gym and going to the airport, so I did wash it off after about an hour, but for some people, it might not be as intense, but the effects are definitely worth it. And when I traveled to where I am currently, it seemed to make a big difference in how quickly I adjusted to the new time zone. If you want to try out his product, the code URBAN will save you 10%. You'll also find that in the show notes for this episode, as well as a link to buy. And the show notes will be at mindbodypeak.com/204. If you want to go deeper into the topics we discussed today, there is his book called The Glutathione Revolution. You can pick that up on Amazon or anywhere books are sold. And then for more information about the bioindividuality of glutathione and antioxidant systems, I suggest you check out episode number 171 with Dr. Tyler Pansner. If you find this interesting or you've been getting a lot of value out of these episodes, I'd love it if you'd go ahead and leave this show a rating, a review, a thumbs up, wherever you're listening to it. That's how I continue bringing you thought-provoking guests each and every week. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation with Dr. Patel. Dr. Patel, welcome to the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me today.
So to set the stage, just a minute ago, we were talking offline. You mentioned that you used to take a ton of supplements and you've pared down to just one or very few. Will you walk us through the story, your evolution there? How did that happen and why?
And supplementation was huge. I mean, it's still huge today, but 15, 18 years ago, it was getting to a point where everybody should be on vitamin D. Everybody should be on magnesium. Everybody should be on fish oils and vitamin E and CoQ10, and the list goes on and on and on, right? I used to sell the core vitamin is a multivitamin, a probiotic, something for the bone health, something for your heart health. I mean, I preached it and I told everybody that same exact story. And then I found out that we're the highest consumer of supplements in the world, but we're not even healthy. I said, what the heck is going on, right? And I was hoping that I'll feel myself was healthier, but then I knew I was not healthier. And so I went back to figure out what the basics are. My research led me to understand what my basics were needed. And then for the next 15 years, I basically started cutting back on every single thing that I do in terms of supplementations, changed my diet completely, stopped drinking alcohol, so I only drink water anyways from the day one. I never drink tea or coffee or juice or soda, nothing like that. So it was easy for me to transition into a healthier diet. When I did that part, I lost the weight. I always weighed over close to 200 pounds, but I'm now in my 160s, 170s at all times. Uh, my energy level is higher. I even changed my diet. I was from carnivore to now vegetarian as most of the time. I call myself pescatarian. I do eat fish once in a while, but very, very seldom. I take lots of amino acids. And what I've done over the years is I have reduced my consumption. And by doing so, I have my energy levels off the roof now. I'm literally indestructible at this point. At the age of 53, 54 right now, I feel like I'm in the best health of my life, even with taking less products and more energy.
Well, that's a awesome goal. So what is in your routine now? I have a feeling it's going to be the product that's going to be the focus of our discussion today, and specifically one key ingredient. I could be wrong.
Well, the thing is, glutathione is definitely my focus, but I don't consider that as a supplement. It's like, do you consider drinking water as a healthy nutrition diet for yourself? No, it's a necessity. And so that's the way I look at it. The absolute necessity for human beings is glutathione. Besides glutathione that your body produces, you still need water and air to survive. Without those two, you will die pretty fast. And so everything that I do is around those three things. But besides that, the one supplement that I do take is magnesium. And the magnesium, I don't consider magnesium as a supplement, because magnesium is something that conducts electricity in our body. And so, you know what? I'm never grounding myself. I'm always wearing shoes or slippers or whatever. I'm never barefoot touching the grounds ever. If I'm barefoot in my house, my house is not just dirt in there, right? And so, because of that, the conduction of the electricity in our body is somewhat distorted. And there's a lot of theories about grounding yourself on a daily basis and discharges all the excess chemical charges that produce in the human body. And to regulate that electrical charge, I take magnesium. That's the only reason I take magnesium for that purposes. Other than that, if I can start grounding myself, which is, I don't know when and how, I even have artificial turf in my backyard too nowadays. I don't know that's going to happen ever, but that's the only thing that I take.
Yeah, there's a lot of basis for different vitamins and minerals at the very least. Magnesium is probably the most deficient of the minerals, and like all the electrolytes are important for cellular communication and so many things, and they're no longer just for athletes, especially because of nutritionally depleted foods and soils and stress burn of nutrients, all kinds of reasons to take the right thing for you at your current stage. You mentioned a minute ago glutathione. That is one that I have not covered at all on this podcast. And I'd love to hear about what that is and why you took interest in that molecule specifically.
Well, boy, I'm in the right place at the right time, I guess. That's my lifelong work is on glutathione. As a pharmacist, when I first graduated from pharmacy school in Southern California, it's a top 2 school in the country. And when you graduate from top schools in the nation, you are set to conquer the world, right? And you come out of the school and say, hey, you know what? I got all the knowledge in the world, and I'm going to change the lives for everybody. No, not so fast, buddy. Right? I was told really fast that in pharmaceuticals, our job is to manage people's problem, not get rid of them. I said, whoa, that to me is like, that's an underground rule that's in the community, that our job is to manage people's problem. Really? Really? That's what I'm going to tell my dad and mom, that, hey, I'm here to manage your problems, not get rid of the problems. I said, what did I put you in school for? For nothing, right? And so very quickly I realized that I was on the wrong side of the coin. This was not the future that I wish for upon myself or my family and my friends. And so quickly I started looking into compounding. I said, hey, if I'm going to manage people's problem, let me start making my own medications. I started making my own medications in the parameters of what doctors wanted me to do, and reduce the burden, reduce the toxicity, reduce poly pills or people taking multiple pills for the same problem, and start doing compounding as a service to people that need their help. And very quickly, I found out that people that needed the help was the rich people, because they got the money to to afford my services. And the rich people are not going to take it for granted. I said, no, no, no. I don't just want to manage my problems. I want to get rid of my problems, right? And they have the money to back it up. And so I started looking at it and said, hey, what is one thing that I can do to make a profound impact in everybody that I come in contact with? What is one thing that I do? And of course, the answer is right in front of me, right? Because at that time, back in the late 90s, early 2000, there was the humongous craze for antioxidants, right? The humongous craze. People were just taking all kinds of vitamin C. And I found out the vitamin C is not even an antioxidant. It's not. It's by chemical, it's a pro-oxidant. I said, what's an antioxidant? And that's when it led to me to glutathione. But then if I look at the glutathione, it's been out for 140 plus years, but nobody in the world had figured out how to get inside your body. Nobody. You can inject it, you can take a pill, you can take creams, you can lotions. I mean, there's some liquid gels, all kinds of things. It's inside your body, but the body is fully compartmentalized. It can just goes in and comes out, and it doesn't even touch it, right? And that's what glutathione is. It doesn't even touch it inside your body. I said, okay, this is what we're going to work on. There you go. That was my answer, because that one thing can lead to a lot of different solutions. And for me, it was not just a solution that I was looking for. I was just trying to figure out, can I stabilize this molecule in the first place? Because as a pharmacist, my job was just to get the stable molecule to work with. And it took me almost 5 to 6 years to get that one done first. Another couple more years to see that if I can get it inside your body through your skin, because skin is a physical barrier. And then what I found out was the biggest problem was not getting inside your body. It's getting inside your cells. And that's when my whole paradigm shift, my mind completely shifted. I said, whoa, wait a second. I take B12 shots, and you're telling me that B12 shots stays in the plasma part, and within few minutes is already in the urine, because the urine is already turning red. I said, it's not blood, it's the B12 shots. That means the body has a system to clear out everything that we take. Why the hell do we take products then in the first place if the body's not going to accept it? So instead, I wanted to find out what can I do so the body can accept my glutathione? And that was in 2007 is when I first discovered it, that I was able to actually bypass the skin as a physical barrier, a cell as a chemical barrier, two different barriers, two different mechanisms, and go through both of them. One through size and one through acceptance. And so that's what I worked on. And when I first discovered that in 2007, I was way ahead of my game. There was nothing published in the whole world in any literature. So I had to do my own sort of trials to figure every single thing. It took me another 13 more years to figure that portion out. But in that 13 years, guess what I was doing? I was learning. I says, why am I taking vitamin D? Is it getting absorbed? Maybe it's not. Check my levels. They're fine. Stop it. Why am I taking vitamin C? Well, it just pees it out. Well, maybe it can increase my glutathione levels, but for that, I already have glutathione, so let's not take that one either. And slowly but surely, I got rid of all my pills, everything. I changed my diet to completely. I try to eat a very healthy diet. I understand that the food source is not the best. I'm blessed to be living in California, where 80% of the foods is organic over here, which is very, very lucky to have that part. And so I've been doing that part. But yes, glutathione is my baby. You can ask me any questions on glutathione, and I will try to answer all of them for you.
Well, let's start simply then. Why is it your baby? What makes this so special? Like, what are you hearing back from people who are using glutathione compared to any of the other hundreds of antioxidants out there? Because there's so many. And when I was looking into glutathione, some of the research around it is really compelling. But if you're getting a form of glutathione that you can actually absorb and assimilate inside the cells.
I love this question. This is such an amazing question, because the answer that I'm going to give you is going to blow people's minds over here right now. So first of all, glutathione is an antioxidant. It is the mother of all antioxidants, and I'll tell you why. But that is not the only function. The reason we're talking about glutathione today is because it is the most abundant molecule produced in the human body, right? So you cannot survive without air, right? You can hold your breath for a few minutes, but that's about it. You cannot survive without water, maybe a couple of weeks, couple of months at the most, maybe a month and a half. But there's a time frame before that you will not be able to survive. And the same thing goes with glutathione. You can survive with the glutathione for a little bit longer, but yes, past 6 months to a year, yeah, you're gonna go really, really fast downhill. So glutathione is by far the most important molecule that we produce internally. We don't produce water, we don't produce air. Okay, so internally, this is all we produce. So why is glutathione so important? Because let's talk about antioxidant first. We'll talk about the conjugation pathways and how it affects the other parts of the body later on. But let's talk about antioxidant, because that's a question you asked me about. Is there's hundreds of different products in the marketplace today for antioxidant. Everything is an antioxidant. Drink this juice. Oh my God, it's an antioxidant. Drink this dye. It's a methylene blue dye. Oh, it's an antioxidant. I said it's a dye. It's a color. But anyways, so there's three things that you can do to reduce oxidative stress, which is what we need the antioxidant for, is to reduce oxidative stress.
Let's take a step back from there. I've covered this a couple times in the podcast, but if people aren't even familiar with why you'd want to reduce oxidative stress, what's the high level there?
Yeah, but I want to make sure that there are three different things you can do that. One is you take all the antioxidants in the world, right? I call them bucket number one. Vitamin C, vitamin E, CoQ10, you can just name the products. That's bucket number one. I put every product that's in the marketplace today, that's bucket number one. Bucket number two, your body produces three enzymes: catalase, superoxide dismutase, which is SOD, and glutathione peroxidase, that is GPX. That's a bucket number two. The bucket number three is one product, glutathione. If you combine bucket number one and bucket number two, glutathione is more powerful than those two buckets combined. Now we're talking about, why we're talking about glutathione today? Because all the antioxidants in the world cannot drop your oxidative stress marker as fast as glutathione can do. Okay, so and so that's one reason why this is so important for me.
Mm-hmm. The way I see this is when it comes to oxidative stress and free radicals, basically the body needs abundant electricity, it needs energy to be able to power all the different organs and processes. And if you have too much oxidative stress or generation of free radicals, or you have insufficient energy production, then nothing is going to work as well, or at least important functions aren't going to work as well. And so by reducing oxidative stress with something like glutathione, then you're able to make everything else work better.
You're absolutely right. So when you look at oxidative stress, it triggers so many different biochemical processes in your body that it's like a whack-a-mole. How many moles are you going to whack until you figure out which is the right one? I mean, you can keep on doing this all day long. You can dance all day long, but you're not going to get anywhere. And the analogy I give people is something like this. You come to your house with 2 bags full of groceries. Your hands are full, so you open the door, you leave the door open, you go back in your house and put your groceries down. The wind comes in over here, which is proverbial oxidative stress, comes into your house and knocks everything off. You have wind, you have dust, you have leaves and debris, every single thing. You being a good body, a good human, start cleaning up the debris out of your body. But guess what? It'll never get cleaned up because the door is still open, right? So you got to close the door. You got to shut down the oxidative stress first. But here's the thing. If you shut down the oxidative stress, is the house going to get cleaned up by itself? No. You still got to go clean up the house. You still can pick up your broom and the vacuum and start cleaning your house. But once you clean up the house, who's going to take the dirt out? Right? So the glutathione does 2 things for us. It helps us stop the oxidative stress in the cracks of it. Very first thing, it stops it down, allows the body to basically clean up all the debris. It's much easier to clean up the debris if the oxidative stress is 0, right? It's much easier to clean it up. And once it's cleaned up, this is where the second function of glutathione kicks in. It's the master conjugator. It basically binds into your liver and gets rid of all these toxic chemicals that your body is accumulating all over the body, including junk proteins, chemicals, heavy metals, organic phosphates. Whatever your body is exposed to is bringing it to the attention. I said, hey, glutathione, get rid of it. And so it does two things for us. Oxidative stress is reduced by just blocking the chemical processes. And then once the body is done cleaning all the debris, it's also helping get rid of it.
And conjugation is one of the important detoxification, like what do you call it, mechanisms or pathways?
It's one of the pathways. It's not the only one. It's the most efficient one, because every single thing is a chemical process to make it non-toxic, right? So when people say, "Oh, we'll just give enough methyl group," "Oh, I have MTHFR gene mutations. I need some methyl groups." Only thing it's doing is making an active molecule into a dormant molecule, but it's still not getting rid of it, right? So it makes the molecule dormant or make it passive or make it non-toxic, but you still have to get rid of it, right? So all this, there's glucuronidations, there's methylations, there's acetylations, all this processes is just making molecule non-toxic, but the glutathione with the conjugation is helping getting rid of it.
Dr. Patel, I haven't told you this, but I've actually used a lot of different glutathione products. I've taken the pills, taken the creams, the liposomal encapsulations, all the things that are supposed to improve the bioavailability of it. And when I took the other forms, I didn't really notice any effects. I kind of just like assumed that it's working in the background as with a lot of supplements. But I have your product right here, and I've used it a handful of times. And what's interesting is you apply it transdermally. So I sprayed it on my stomach where there's no hair. And about 30 minutes later, I actually noticed something odd from a typical antioxidant, which is that it increased my energy levels. Like it wasn't like a stimulation effect like caffeine, but it was like a noticeable like reduction of fatigue, kind of like I get with coffee, but just like without the extra stimulation.
Gotcha. I had no idea you're using the product. Amazing. All right. So let's dive into that part, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Why I stopped taking all the vitamins, right? Because that's exactly what I first thought. Because when I started looking at my technology, I said, hey, what can I do to give you glutathione? The very first product I made was liposome glutathione, 1999. I made the liposome technology product. And I looked at it and said, a year and a half goes by, and I talked to the people. I said, the glutathione is amazing. Here, this is a great way to take the liposome technology product. And I had the microfluidizers. I can get a really nice small liposomes created correctly. And a year and a half later says, well, it worked on some people, did not work on everybody. I goes, wait a second. Is this something like a medication that doesn't work on everybody, it works on only some people? But no, glutathione is made by every human being. It should work on everybody. There's nobody, it should not work, right? So that did not work for me. I said, I could not figure out why it was not working, but I knew it was not working for everybody. It was working on somebody though. It was working on somebody, not everybody. I said, okay, the next best thing is I can do is make intravenous form of glutathione. So guess what I did? I made the first IV glutathione. Well, I wasn't the first one, but I made the intravenous form of glutathione back in 2001, I believe so. And I found out that it was very short-lived. It only stays in the body for maybe 15, 20 minutes. I said, okay, that's what's going on over here. I couldn't figure that portion out. In the meantime, the doctor in Vegas wanted to bring in glutathione into Vegas to help people with hangovers. I said, well, I can get rid of the hangovers if you just give them enough glutathione. I said, done. So we basically started the whole process back in 2001 with mobile IV clinics in Vegas. I don't know. It wasn't something that have never been done before. First time one doctor comes in and he started going like hotels to hotels and rooms to rooms and started giving IVs. But what we found out, it was only living for 15, 20 minutes. And so then somebody, one of my interns brought to my attention, hey, there's some research. Back then the internet was not very sharp. Okay. So don't judge me that why can't you just ask your AI robot? They can tell you everything what's going on, right? We didn't have AI robots back then. Anyways, so my intern comes to me. I said, hey, there's a research study in 1991 that when you give intravenous form of glutathione, it only stays in the plasma, never enters the blood cell. And the plasma gets to the kidneys and the kidney filters out the glutathione. Every glutathione is dumped in the urine and nothing is left for the body to use up. I goes, wait a second. That's what we were seeing, that 5 to 15 minutes is all it worked. But then the patient felt better 6 hours later sometimes. How is that working out? What they found out was 3 hours later, there was a rise of cysteine in the blood. We didn't inject cysteine, we inject glutathione. Well, the glutathione is made up of 3 amino acids, right? Glycine, glutamine, and cysteine. Cysteine was actually getting reabsorbed into the body, and the body was using that to make its own glutathione. And I said, whoa. To me, that was like the first aha moment. And I looked at the FDA's website and what FDA is doing about it. And FDA is, sure enough, has approved one product in the marketplace to improve glutathione levels, which is Mucomist. And if you look at Mucomist, is what? Cysteine. That's it. And even today's date in the hospitals, if you go to the hospital and if you're intoxicated with Tylenol, that's exactly what they use, is cysteine to revive you back. And I says, wait a second. So body does not ever absorb any peptides. You can only take building blocks. The body will absorb the building blocks and use that to make its own peptides, right? And showing up in 2011, some researcher at the University of Texas in Austin picks up this thing, liposome technology products, and run it through a 26 patient trial, right? 26 patients trial, they did it, and they found out exact same thing. The liposome technology product was actually getting broken down into amino acids. The body was absorbing the cysteine molecule and using that to make its own glutathione. Save your money, folks. Take cysteine, it's cheap as hell, and allow your body to make its own glutathione. The question then becomes is that, why do I need my product then? And honestly, I asked myself the same questions. And why would you need my product if your body can take the cysteine and make its own glutathione? It's because there's a very small subset of people that actually cannot conjugate using cysteine. These are the people that have GSTM, GSTP, GGT. These are all metabolic enzyme defects, or they have gene mutations where they cannot conjugate those products together. And it's not like you're born with it. If you're born with it, you're on the spectrum. So that's easy to find out right away. And you put them on glutathione and they respond very well. Now, if you have this mutation that happens, let's say in the 50s or 60s, and all of a sudden you said, hey, I don't know what happens. I was healthy as a horse 2 years ago, and now look at this. I got 2 autoimmune conditions. Everything is just going downhill right there. And sometimes it's because there's a defect, or the gene mutations just kicked in, and now we have all these problems.
When you say the gene mutations just kicked in, I've talked a bit about epigenetics on the show. Would that be like methylation, epigenetic methylation, or something that's causing it?
That's one of them. Yeah, so MTHFR and COMT, you may have the genes that you may be prone to MTHFR reduction in your body. And if that's true, unless it expresses it, you're still okay. So epigenetics is what it's all about gene expression. So in people that have this gene mutation that they're born with it, or the genes that are born with it, they're dormant. It's like, for example, you having genes for breast cancer, not you, but any ladies having genes for breast cancer, BRCA genes, right? Doesn't mean they have breast cancer. It all means is that you're prone to breast cancer if the conditions are correct. And the same thing with all these genes, mutations. You don't have the problem yet, but if the conditions are correct, they will express themselves. And now you're out of luck. Okay? So MTHFR, if you have the genes, but if it's not expressing, that's a good sign. You can do whatever it takes to make sure you have enough methyl groups in your diet, like cruciferous vegetables. That way, the gene never gets to express itself, because once it's expressing itself, you're out of luck, right? You're screwed now at that point. And so glutathione is the same thing. There are a bunch of gene expressions for glutathione. In fact, I was talking to the owner of one of the gene testing company, and she was saying me that, man, we can do so much work because there's some genes that even for the pregnancy lady that they need more glutathione. That the genes in the kids that they're testing, they need more glutathione. So this doctor was just going nuts in terms of trying to figure out all these different ways, because for the very first time, we have a solution. We have a solution now that we can fix it. Because if you have a gene mutation and you cannot conjugate, make your own glutathione, there's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do to improve glutathione levels. Imagine that.
Dr. Patel, I didn't tell you this, but back in college, I used to help people design anti-ethanol stacks, supplement stacks. And one of the ingredients I used to use in that was N-acetylcysteine. But again, that wasn't one of the ingredients that I noticed. I felt any difference. I was just relying on the data that I read, hoping that it had the intended effect. And I mean, lo and behold, I drank fairly heavily, more than I want to admit, but my liver markers didn't go up. So I seemed to be doing well. I felt great the next day. How does it work? How, if you're a responder, a proper responder to cysteine and acetylcysteine specifically, would you feel the same effect that I felt from spraying your product on my stomach?
So here's the thing, with NAC, you're still depending on your body's ability to produce its own glutathione. Now, if you're 20 years of age, guess what? You might be okay. You may have to consume a lot of it because your needs are extremely, extremely high. Because even with one drink of alcohol, if you accidentally drink even one alcohol, then your glutathione level is basically down to zero. And so NAC may help you a little bit, but it's not going to be the full replacement. Even if it helps with the alcohol, it's not going to help you with your body not being able to break it down, right? Stop from breaking it down. And so with a glutathione topical version, it is actually helping you metabolize all the alcohols pretty fast. It does metabolize the alcohol. You'll be buzzing like crazy because all the alcohol that gets metabolized by glutathione becomes acetaldehyde, and that's neurotoxic. And so I always suggest to people, I said, hey, this is not an antidote for drinking, because all the negative aspects of alcohol of causing brain damage and intoxication is not actually healthy for you. That is not going to stop ever with glutathione, because all it does, it speeds up the process of that whole detoxification. And acetaldehyde in your brain has a short life, so within few hours you'll be gone and you'll be fine. But the main thing is making sure the alcohol from your whole body is processed pretty fast, right? And so the glutathione will aid in the process. Unfortunately, the needs are very high depending on how heavy you drink. The needs are very high, and if you drink more than 3 shots of any single thing, then only thing that can help you is God. So, glutathione is good, but it's not foolproof for sure.
Yeah. There's also issues some people have with N-acetylcysteine and cysteine in general, and also like sulfuric compounds. They don't process them well, and like it'll show up in their genetic reports. And I interviewed Dr. Tyler Pansner, who does this work, and he analyzes people's genetics, and he finds issues pretty often with N-acetylcysteine for that particular reason. And I've also read plenty of reports online about people experiencing anhedonia with N-acetylcysteine. And so it seems like there are drawbacks that if you respond well to it, it could be a great substance, and specifically the combination of glycine and N-acetylcysteine, Glynac. What are your thoughts? Have you come across that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know Glynac. I know the doctor who works with Glynac. I've been he was gung-ho about Glynac for years until he saw my product, and now he will never touch Glynac ever again. He's one of the neurosurgeons at NFL, and they were using it for TBIs and post-traumatic brain disorders and concussion patients. And with the glutathione topical version that we have, for the very first time, he saw it crossing the blood-brain barrier and getting deposited in various parts of the brain. So he says this is absolutely a game changer. The future of medicine is just going to be. He's so excited about this. He's 80 plus years old. He just ran an Ironman as well himself. He goes, I couldn't believe it. The amount of energy I have was just using your product all the time. So he's feeling fantastic. His brain function is getting better. And so, but here's the thing. Overuse of cysteine by itself, cysteine has been shown to be also be neurotoxic. And so there's something called 5-cystenyl, what's the chemical? I forgot the name of the complex. 5-cystenyl dopamine complex. And so people that are with Parkinson's, they use a lot of cysteine to help them with Parkinson's syndrome. But they use a lot of cysteine, and that complex is creating becomes neurotoxic. So it makes the Parkinson's even worse. And so cysteine is actually good for you at a moderate doses. But if your needs are high enough that your body needs more of it, you can be playing with fire because there's no way in the body to control it. And so the idea behind this thing is that how can I give glutathione that is actually getting absorbed in a full usable form. Because if you take even if you take IVs, like one of the doctors I work with, he is a world-renowned speaker on glutathione IVs. His own PBS TV show that he talks about is his Parkinson's patients that he deals with it. And I asked him, I said, hey, you've been injecting 5 and 10 grams of intravenous glutathione in these Parkinson's patients. Are you getting 100% results? He goes, no, of course not. I'll never say that part. I said, well, are you getting 50% results? I said, no. I said, why not? You're giving them way more glutathione than your body is able to produce ever, but why is it not working for you? And the thing is, what they do find out that by injecting very high dose of glutathione, your body will break it down into various amino acids, and if the system becomes very toxic to the body, then it's not a good thing for you. So then there's an issue on how much you can use it. And so today, he's switched over completely to the topical version.
Yeah, it's interesting to to see that oftentimes a small dose of something has beneficial effects, and you think more is better, and it doesn't quite work out that way. And the bioenergetic community has been talking about the issues with an excess of certain amino acids, methionine commonly in muscle meats, but also cysteine is another one of those. And tryptophan too, but that's not going to be an issue in this case.
Yeah, that's dimers. That's a whole different story about tryptophan as well. But you're absolutely right. Less is more. And that's one of the reasons why it took me 30 years for research for the first time when I first discovered it, because I was having a hard time trying to figure out what dose to give you. I said, hey, I used to give 2 to 5 grams of IV push and glutathione IVs all the time. I said, okay, if I give you 1,000 milligrams of topical, it should be okay. My goodness, it was not good at all. Well, my first patient was myself. It was not good. I said, oh my God, what the hell is happening to me? I was rashing, I was itching all over the body, I was just fatigued. And I said, this is not right. So I stopped right away. I contacted one of the doctors I work with in Utah. And he says, then don't worry about it. Send me a bunch of bottles. I'll do some trials for you right away. Give it to the patients. And then, so anyway, we found out the actual dose was very, very small. My dose is about 4 sprays. 4 sprays gives you roughly between 90 to 110 milligrams of glutathione. That is equivalent to somebody giving a big whopping dose of IV push. And so for me, it says, hey, if you get to where it's supposed to go, the needs are very, very small. And you are absolutely right. Less is more, because guess what? If you give more than what your body needs, the body has to work hard to try to figure out what the hell to do with it, right? If you have a 2-car garage and if you buy 5 cars, I would love to have more cars, but where am I going to put it, right? And so then you have to figure out how to deal with it. And so I always tell people, I say, can I use more? So of course you can use more, but the thing is the body has to deal with it. And sometimes the body does not know how to deal with it, and it will give you some side effects. So if you do the right amount, then it's perfect for you, right? Now, of course, if you're an athlete, because I deal with a lot of NFL athletes, NBA, MLB, hockey, NHL hockey teams. I have lots and lots of athletes I work with. They're young. They're very, very young. Their needs of glutathione are not high. But guess what? Post-workout, the needs are extremely high, right? So all my athletes use it once a day, the day they work out. After the workout, they can do their cold plunging and their hyperbaric chambers and whatnot. They shower, get ready, and they will slap it on the glutathione, and it will quench all the free radicals pretty fast. So those athletes are using my stronger version of the glutathione because they use it once a day. They're only using the day they work out and not every single day.
So unlike some antioxidants, when used in really high dose, or I guess there's a high delivery, there's some research that it can blunt the hormetic beneficial adaptations that occur post-exercise, specifically around strength. Are you seeing that as an issue with athletes? Because I can also see a very simple case where if you're high level, your ability to recover and be back performing your exercise again can trump everything. But I'm also curious if you've seen any impact on exercise adaptations.
Absolutely. So I work with some chiropractors and some physical therapists and people that train all these athletes. And I'm also, by the way, I'm also the PGA Tour people that they use this product over there too. And you think the PGA Tours are just golfers? They don't train? Oh, they do train. So they do train hard as well. So just want to make sure, FYI, just because they're just hitting a ball, that doesn't mean they're not training themselves. But overall, you're right about the hormesis, right? Because people, they go overboard on the training purposes. You got to bring it back. But the thing is, the hormesis, if you give too much of antioxidant, you can go all the way down. Now, keep in mind, no products in the world can get you all the way down to zero antioxidants. None. There's not a single product in the world that can do that for you, except for glutathione, the topical version. That's the only product that can get you over the board, because that's the only one that gets absorbed, right? If it's any other product, the body can spit it out easily. If it doesn't need it, it'll spit it out, right? So you're right. If you are worried about reducing the oxidative stress down to zero or negative, there's a potential of doing that with the topical version of glutathione. And that's why if you follow the recommended dose, then you never, ever, ever have to worry about it. Because that's one of the first thing I did was try to figure out how much to give you, how often to give you, and how long can I give it to you before I can see the oxidative stress going down to zero. Because zero, that means you have zero defense left on your body. Your body has to be in stress at all times. At all times. You have to have some stress in your body by all time, right? And so the topical version of glutathione can potentially get down to zero. And that's one of the reasons why we tell you not to take over the recommended dose. But the better question is, what happens when it goes down to zero? Right? What happens then? If your oxidative stress doesn't exist at all, what happens then? There's 4 or 5 things that I've noticed, right? One is easy, rash and itching all over the body. The body is going into some sort of reaction. Say, oh, this is not right. How come I have no stress remaining, right? And the defenses goes down to zero as well. So the rash pops up. Besides rash, I've seen something where there's severe stomach cramps and diarrhea. I've also noticed people have headaches, intense amount of headaches. I've also seen people with extreme fatigue. I had, and that can happen initially when you first try, because that's just a detox reaction, and that can also happen like a year later if you have overdosed on the glutathione product, right? And so as I said, I have 2 versions of this product: a regular version, which is I recommend to everybody, and a stronger version, which is a plus version, which is a lot more stronger than it's on the high end normal of what your body needs are. And those needs are there for people that have severe issues where they're like, if you're in the 50s, 60s, or 70 and above, yes, your needs are pretty high. So you can use the plus version, but in reality, the regular version is probably going to be more than sufficient for, I would say, almost everybody, right? So when in doubt, go slow, or go the lower dose, don't go the higher dose. And I understand your audience may have a lot of money. They can be billionaires listening to us right now. I got plenty of billionaires clients of mine that do that. And they ask me all the time. I said, hey, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5". Do I need the plus version? I said, no, you just need the regular version. But is it going to hurt me? Well, you're just wasting money. I said, I got plenty of that. Anything else? I said, well, if you get overboard, you're going to get all the symptoms. So as long as I don't get the symptoms, I'm okay. I said, yes, I think so. You're going to be okay. I've not done that kind of detailed kind of work yet. So yes, I do have a lot of my athletes. They have a lot of money, and they will abuse. Well, they'll take the plus version because their needs are pretty high. But then later I found out there's all these people have also bad eating habits, drinking habits, and so maybe that's one of the reasons why they're taking the high dosage as well. Anyways.
Yeah, I was going to say the first thing to do is to check the sources, the main sources of oxidative stress. And it's always going to be most effective to minimize those if possible. And then only after you've eliminated the sources of the oxidative stress, or at least reduce the unhealthy ones, then to increase the dose.
Oh, the thing is, this modern society, we have come accustomed to so much conveniences that no matter what we do, we are not going to get over all the oxidative stress, the things that cause oxidative stress in our body. It's just not humanly possible anymore. Yes, 100 years ago, maybe, right? We just had the first car developed, maybe before that, right? But today it is absolutely impossible. That's why the age where the oxidative stress is increasing for the first time, the body cannot deal with it, has dropped down to about 30 now. So 30 and above, you need some help. And so I always say that, hey, do whatever it takes. Don't blame your boss. Don't blame your spouse. Don't blame your kids. Don't blame your financing. This stress is real stress and is eating you from inside.
As I understand it, there is something called the redox balance reduction, which is the opposite end of oxidation. And if you're really crushing all the oxidative stress, you're eliminating it and you're taking the body in the opposite direction, then you're also, say, stacking on top with other antioxidants. You could potentially have an issue of going too far down the reduction side, not enough oxidation. Are you seeing that people have issues when they're taking other antioxidants or products that have antioxidant actions alongside glutathione?
So here's the beauty of this thing, right? The other antioxidant supplementations that are out there, the body may or may not respond to that at all, because it's a physical thing. You have to come into physical contact, right? Like, for example, if you see a nail that is rusting, right? It's a physical thing. If it comes to the physical contact, you can repaint it and make it rust go away. But inside, it's still rusting. You don't see it anymore. It's still rusting, right? And so to healing the process, something has to come into physical contact. And the only thing that works from inside out is glutathione. Everything else works from outside in. And so the outside in can be blocked off and can not be useful. So I don't see that as an issue. But the glutathione alone itself can put you in the reductive state. It can. And that's the reason why if that happens, you can have all these reactions. As soon as the reactions, slow it down, right? If you're using 4 sprays twice a day, cut back to 2 sprays twice a day. I'll probably stop for a day or two. Right? Let your body get stressed out again a little bit, right? And it doesn't take much. It takes you 4 hours to get your body in stress again. It takes really fast because you'll be breathing oxygen all the time, right? If you stop breathing, it's a whole different story. But if you're breathing, you're having oxygen in your body, it will come into stress immediately. So I would say wait for a day or two, when you're back to normal, reduce the dose down and see if you can keep it that way. Because my job is to keep your oxidative stress down to bare minimal, but never zero. Negative is even worse. But even zero is not good for you. So a little stress is always good. It always keeps the body in check.
Well, because some of it also is really important for signaling, say, post-exercise.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. So all the things that we do. So if you think about it, every medication, everything that you do as an athlete is you're inducing stress. Everything you do. Even cold plunge is inducing stress. Right? Everything that you do is inducing stress. And it's a controlled stress. And you're hoping that with the controlled stress, with the proper diet and nutrition, it's that your body is going to take that stressors and build Fort Knox around it, right? That's the hope you have. That is exactly the hope you have. But the same athlete in the 20s who is on top of the world, same workout routine at the age of 45, no, he's going to break apart. It's going to break apart because the body doesn't have all the nutrients to deal with it. On top of that, the body a lot of junk proteins over the time has accumulated all those junk proteins, and the senescent cells is not working well. There's a lot of zombie cells that are creating this. There's a lot of oxidative stress that is blocking all this pro-inflammatory markers that to help you heal your body. Everything is blocked off, and so yeah, you're not getting any younger at the age of 45. Now, if I have with the help of glutathione, if I can remove all those debris out, remove all the stressors out, and remove the oxidative stress markers out, hey, you really can get back in shape again. And I had a very famous NFL athlete in the 40s as a quarterback using this product. And hey, all I tell is everybody, if I can improve one season for you, if I can make you play one more season at the peak of your career, that's extra 30, 40 million bucks for you guys, right? It's easy for me. It's easy for me to do that part, to just show the finances what that costs us. But as an average person, I'm not looking for this big payout. I'm looking for, I want to live longer. But what you said earlier, it's not just living in a nursing home. I want to be climbing mountains or doing dirt bike or just skydiving or whatever pleasure that brings you. I would do all those things.
Yeah. And to be clear, although we've talked a lot about athletics and fitness and physical training, this applies equally to people who are using their mind to come up with big new ideas. I mean, chess grandmasters can burn 5,000, 6,000 calories in a day just from working on the chessboard, not actually doing any physical activity. And whenever you increase energy demands and energy production, you're going to be creating more of the byproducts, like the cellular exhaust kind of thing, which is reactive oxygen species. So even then, if you're not physically active, of course, it's good to be physically active if you can, but even then you're going to be at increased need for molecular assistance.
Well, you bring a very good point. I'm so sorry that you did not address those issues because that is my thing, right? I don't exercise at all, but my mind is going nuts because I'm always thinking about a lot of different things. And you're right. Your brain is such a small piece, right? 2% of your total body weight, but it consumes over 20% of all the oxygen that we breathe in. And it's firing neurons like crazy. The oxidative stress in your brain is the highest in your whole body. And so you're absolutely right. Reducing oxidative stress in your brain is the utmost first responsibility for us as a human being. As I said earlier, that's one of the reasons why we work with the NFL neurosurgeons, because his goal is that, hey, I have these young people with one hit on the head and their brain is like full of stressors now, right? And there's nothing they can do to reduce their oxidative stress down. And when they saw a sign that the glutathione, the topical version, is actually getting into the brain, because they have, again, you cannot do a blood test. For that, you have to do an MRI scan and they found a frequency of glutathione in your brain. If you can, they know exactly where the glutathione levels are rising. And when they first saw that part, oh my God, they couldn't stop calling me right away. Said, oh my God, this is going to be a game changer for us in the future, because now we can, for the first time, we can figure out where the glutathione is to go, how fast we can get there, and if what dose is going to increase the levels over there. And if it can do that part, there's a possibility in the future that we may have something to reduce oxidative stress for ALS patients, Parkinson's patients, Alzheimer's, Huntington's, concussion patients, PTSD patients. There's so many different people that we can help, because today there's no cure for any of those people.
You mentioned one thing several times throughout. Actually, you alluded to it. I don't know if you actually said what I was looking for you to say specifically, but I looked up before this interview also, because I've been hearing and reading for the last couple of years about how glutathione is no longer the master antioxidant, and now there's other antioxidants that are considered to be as important as glutathione. The big one that also can enter the subcellular space and help protect mitochondria and other organelles is melatonin. I'm sure you've heard that. But I've also come across other substances that are not endogenous antioxidants, things like, say, C60 or molecular hydrogen. There's a couple other things that seem to be getting more attention. What's your take on those? Why do you think that, if you do, that glutathione is still the king antioxidant?
So here's the thing. It's a very simple test, right? And I've done this myself personally. You can take high dose of melatonin, C60. What else you said? What the third thing was? Molecular hydrogen. And by the way, I have everything in my house. I have the hydrogen bottles, the one that I also work with Gary Brecka, and so he was recommending this hydrogen water. So I have that. He gave it to me. I have the C60 from the company that makes C60. They gave me a bunch of bottles for me to try it out as well. And I have my own melatonin in my pharmacy. All three combined, and just use just use a topical glutathione by itself, and you can tell the results instantaneously. So if you see the response, if you see a positive response with glutathione, stop that and then take all three products combined together and see if you get the same exact results, duplicate the results. I can guarantee you it's not going to be happening. Now, here's the thing. So the C60 CEO, right? She gave me her bottles of C60. I didn't see the results, but then she ends up buying my glutathione for the rest of her life right now, right? And so I always say that, yes, mother of all antioxidant is not about getting products into the system. It's where it needs to be. Your highest oxidative stress is where? In the mitochondria. Mitochondrial aging is a real thing. If the glutathione, if the C60 enters the mitochondria, hey, maybe there's a potential that it can do that part for us. But glutathione is the only one that gets there, as of right now that we know of, right? So glutathione is getting there, is helping reduce the mitochondrial load or the toxicity that's killing the mitochondria. And if we can do that part, I mean, it's by far, to me, still the best thing that we have. As I said earlier, you can combine all of them. Forget the C60, hydrogen, water, and the melatonin. Combine them with vitamin C and vitamin E and all those. That's just bucket number one. I put all those products in the bucket number one. Then on top of that, the bucket number two is your endogenous production of all the enzymes. Those two combined, glutathione can still be better antioxidant. And the thing is, it's okay. Let me see how can I prove it to you, right? So we did a 3-day trial at Western University School of Medicine in Pomona, California. I'm also an adjunct faculty over there, so I teach a class over there. But when I was talking about glutathione, and one of the researchers goes, I'll do a test for you really fast. I'll give it to like 30 people, and we'll figure out what the hell is this doing to us, right? I said, great, let's do it. Of course, he goes, it's going to take me a year to just go through IRB because we are doing straight human trials, right? Now we don't do animal trials first. I said, okay, that's okay, whatever, if you make excuses. I said, no, it's real. I said, okay. So he said, if you apply for the IRB approval, it took them almost 9 months to get approval for the IRB because we went straight to human trials, we didn't do animal studies, right? Anyways, so we did the trial. They saw the reduction of the MDA, which is the oxidative stress marker, in the first 4 hours. Boom, the level just dropped. He goes, when he saw the result in the first 4 hours, I said, okay, wait a second. We have 3 more people. So what they do, they drew the blood, infected the blood in the test tube with mycobacterium infection. I said, let's see what the body does, because now the blood is outside. It's not in the human body anymore. As everything inside the test tube, everything is in there. If I infect the blood with mycobacterium infection, does the body respond, right? And so what they did was they took 30 patients, 15 were taking the glutathione, the 15 were taking placebo. The people that took glutathione, within 1 hour, they saw a reduction in the mycobacterium load. The people with the no glutathione, or the placebo, the load actually went up because they started multiplying. So there's like a net decrease overall. It was, and the research started going crazy. I said, how is this possible, right? Glutathione is not anti-infective. It's not an antimicrobial, antifungal, nothing like that. So they had the test tube still. 3 days later, they took the blood again and they measured all the cytokines. And then what they found out was the T cells went up, the macrophages went up, the IL-2, the IL-12, the interferon gamma, TNF alpha, they're all starts rising. That's when they found out, okay, glutathione is just not a master antioxidant. It is it's a master immunator. It gives you immune system activator, conjugator. So we're just at the tip of the iceberg yet. We don't even know what the glutathione does. So far we know about antioxidant. We know about conjugation. Now we know it's an immune modulator. What else? I don't know yet.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say initially is like seeing a suppression of certain things isn't always necessarily a good thing. Like if you have a headache and you suppress that, you might get symptom relief, but then you might also be creating a more hospitable environment for the pathogens to thrive and to multiply. So it's cool to hear that afterward you actually saw a net improvement to immune markers and immune cell types, because in the absence of that, I'm not sure it would necessarily be a good thing, but to hear that it had both like the short-term impact and then the longer-term impact is really cool.
Yeah, because the bacteria is unwanted in the human blood. So we have to get rid of it. But how? It's not killing the bacteria. It's your own immune system doing it. And that to me is like, if that's true, well, you can bring any infection. I don't care. You can give me bat viruses for that matter, right? And if I can help immune system get better, hey, you'll try to fight it off. Because keep in mind, our body has everything in there. We have bacteria, fungus, protozoans, amoebas, everything is in there. They all live in a harmony. It's because the body keeps everything in check. It's when when the immune system just gets lowered, all of a sudden every infection starts kicking in.
So it sounds like your product is actually studied then, unlike most of the supplements
God,
and
yes.
glutathione products I've come across.
As I said, it took me 13 years to do all my clinical trials. I published my book, The Glutathione Revolution. I published the book, and then I released the product to the public after the doctors are urging me and said, hey, can you please make it accessible for the consumers to buy it? I said, what's wrong with you? Keep on doing more trials. I said, you'll be trialed out of this whole game one day. And so, 07 is when we discovered it. 2020 is when we released the book, and 2021 is released the product.
I'm also curious. There are a lot of different ways to go in the limited time we have left. What if you could like rattle off some of the things that people are experiencing or the mechanisms that you find to be the most interesting? Because I can share some of the things I came across in my own research that made me raise an eyebrow, such as the beneficial impact that glutathione has on the metabolism of nitric oxide, the role it has on epigenetics and DNA methylation, mitochondrial integrity and biogenesis, improvements to exposure to radiation and EMF protection, gut and microbiome health, autophagy, protein folding in the endoplasmic reticulum, a lot of longevity stuff and general health related stuff. What else is there that I didn't mention?
So these are all great, but average person is not going to notice that right away, right? They're not going to feel it. I say, oh, my endoplasmic reticulum is getting better. How do they don't know what the hell that is, right? Oh, but nitric oxide levels are getting better. But yeah, they may see that if the nitric oxide levels goes up, the blood pressure goes down, so they may feel that. So I go by feelings, right? What do people feel when they first start taking the product? The first thing they feel is the high energy. That's the first thing by far. The most important thing that people get is high energy. The second thing that most people get is the sleep pattern gets better. They're sleeping deeper, they're sleeping better, they're awake more refreshed, the HRV is increasing. So that's the second thing that people notice all the time. If you have something, a bit that you're using, you can measure those things out. The third thing that people notice is the fatigue is reduced, right? With the energy increasing, not necessarily the energy is increasing, but you're reducing the fatigue as well at the same time. Your exercise tolerance are getting better. It's a secondary marker, but you feel lighter. You feel lighter. You know, I have never gained weight in the last 15 years. I just keeps on staying the same, or maybe a couple of pounds dropped, a couple of pounds. And over the last 2 years alone, I dropped another couple of pounds, right? It's not I'm trying to lose weight, but I'm dropping weight. I'm gaining more muscle mass right now, but at the same time, I'm dropping weight because that means my fat is really going down at this point. And it's not a fat loss drug by itself at all. But what I'm saying is that it just keeps on improving it and improving it and improving, because at the end of the day, you have no idea how your body is regenerating completely back to normal, right? We can measure every single thing, and the measure is always a lagging indicator, because by the time something goes out of range is at least 5 or 10 years down the road. But what you cannot measure is how your body is adjusting and recuperating and regenerating every single day. And so to me, that is more important today. And I've talked to so many functional doctors that they do, we test you all 50 tests, 1,000 tests. We do a brain scan, body scan. And if there's something wrong, we'll find it for you, right? And I say, well, here's a problem. You only find something when it's wrong, but you cannot find when the body is actually getting to become out of control. And to me, that's more important to me. Can I give the control back to the human body? Because guess what? The human body is a better doctor than all the doctors in the world. All the doctors. How to give the control back to the human body? And for me, glutathione is one of the mediums that can do that, because it's an autologous peptide that we produce. We don't produce C60. We don't produce a lot of other junk, right? Melatonin is a great product, but it's only produced at midnight. There's a reason why they only produce it once a day and not all throughout the day.
As you're speaking, I'm thinking of certain populations that would do best. It sounds like it, first of all, would benefit everyone to some degree, but also like if you're exercising really hard, you're doing a lot of mental work, but then even if you're losing fat, because when you lose fat, you're going to be liberating some toxins and heavy metals and stuff, and you're also going to be creating more reactive oxygen species. So it might make sense to use glutathione there. Any other populations that stand to benefit and gain, especially from it?
So here's the thing. Every human being over the age of 40, I don't care where they are or what they do, they're going to benefit it. Because that's a time that I have found out is that your oxidative stress is actually higher, or your ability to recuperate, regenerate completely has been lost already. So over the age of 40, 110%. Between 30 to 40 are people that are abusers of their body. I see that they are doing exposing themselves to alcohol or toxicities in the environment, or living in some weird cities that have a lot of pollution in there, exposing yourself to excessive sunlight, whatever. I'm not here to judge anybody, but I'm just saying that if that's you, then your need may start at the age of 30, right? Below 30, I think more than likely everybody has the ability to produce things on their own. Just have a better habit. That's all I can say. Just have a better habit.
Awesome. And then lastly, are there any great natural sources or ways to increase glutathione? Because of course you can take cysteine, as we mentioned, or N-acetylcysteine. Anything else that moves the needle?
So for me I'm not here to tell you what diet is the right diet for you, because it's worse than religion. It's very polarized, right? So I just tell you, if you want to improve glutathione levels, you just need to consume cysteine-rich foods. So your favorite AI robot, ask them and say, spit me out cysteine-rich foods. And give you vegan choices, vegetarian choices, carnivore, keto, paleo, Mediterranean. I don't care what it is. Whatever diet you have plenty of choices in every single thing that you eat to have cysteine-rich foods. Glycine and glutamine is abundantly found in the in your diet, so that's not an issue. Glutamine is something that I'm staying away from it right now. We have found, well, I'm working with a lot of researchers, and what they found out that the glutamine is there's a high concentration of glutamine in the brain, and so I'm worried about glutamine getting concentrated in the brain. So that's why sometimes cysteine is good to bind the glutamine and getting rid of it and some of it. So consuming that food is a must. You cannot peel your way out, right? You can't just eat. You just take pills and just make it, hey, everything's gonna be healthy. No, the food is still important. So having that diet is a must for everybody.
Okay. And really quickly, there's a bunch of different ways of administering it. I'm sure you've tried a lot of them back in the viral days. I used some nebulized glutathione and it seemed to work okay, but I didn't feel the huge energy boost that I mentioned with yours specifically. There's the oral, I think it's a reduced form. There's liposomal. There's probably other forms too. Have you found anything else that's even remotely effective?
None. I made suppositories. I used to make nebulized glutathione. As I said, one of the NFL athletes, very, very, very well-known NFL athletes in the Super Bowl, multiple rings, used nebulized glutathione for 10 years. 1 month of topical version, it was a game over for him. So it's that important for that. I used to make suppositories. I used to make sublingual drops. I used to make eye drops, nose sprays. You name it, I've made it. Okay. I've worked with ophthalmologists that they used to make. They were asking me to make eye drops of glutathione, which we made them. And I'm telling you, once a topical version, the way it works intracellularly, it's absolutely game over now.
I considered trying using the reduced form because it's so cheap online, and then using some DMSO to drive it transdermally. But then I started thinking about it, and you're also going to be driving a lot of other things that you don't want in those supplements transdermally. So I decided against it.
Well, the thing is, just making it inside your body doesn't mean it's inside your cells.
Yeah.
You can inject glutathione straight in your bloodstream. Doesn't mean it's getting inside your cells.
Yeah. That's the issue with a lot of supplements too.
That's true for a lot of supplements. Now you know why don't take any pills. I take vitamin D once in a while. I do take probiotics once in a while if I'm out and about and if I know what my needs are going to be. I take betaine hydrochloride for acids and enzymes if I eat some junk food and eat a lot of proteins and I have to break it down. So I do take some pills here and there, but it's nothing on a regular basis except for magnesium.
Amazing. Nayan, if people want to connect with you to check out your product, to try it themselves and see if they notice a difference, how do they go about that?
It's my website is Auro Wellness, AURO wellness.com. And of course, with the benefits of the wellness sides, we also have the same product in our skincare too. It's just Auro Wellness Skincare. And so you can try both of them out. It's really, I want people to at least give it a 1 month shot at it. We do offer 100% money back guarantee because I don't want people to just say that, hey, this is a quick sale. No, this is not. I'm looking for lifers. I'm looking for people that want to improve their life forever. And I'm here for them, for them, we're making sure that they get the product, they try it out. And if it works out, great, amazing. If it doesn't work out, I can assure you, you still got the benefit for the first 30 days. And we'll be more than happy to offer refunds for every single thing.
Perfect. Yeah, and your team is going to set up a code for my audience. I believe we're settling on Urban. So if you guys use that, you'll save on your order.
Yes. And one more story I want to share. I don't know if you have that, but 30 seconds to 1 minute. I'll share a story about my dad because I want to make people understand that I want you to live your life. I want you to enjoy your life, right? And if you're at a state, my dad at the age of 78 with type 2 diabetes for over 35, 40 years, arthritis for 30 plus years, blood pressure issues, a little bit on the heavier side, nothing crazy. I did everything possible. I did some hormone replacement therapy, some testosterone therapy, and going great as building muscle mass. But you know what? No, he didn't do anything else. At the age of 78, he had he was having some chest pains. I wasn't sure what the hell, what was going on. We went to the doctor, we did the angiograph, and of course, his main artery was 100% blocked. And then, oh my God, you survived. You didn't die. Okay? He didn't die. So they put a stent in there. Of course, they give a whole bunch of medications to live. But doctor did not want to live with taking medications. I said, hey, because he had no cholesterol issues. Why did they give him a statin drug? So he didn't want a cholesterol pill. I said, Dad, you don't have cholesterol. What you have is inflammation. You have inflammation. You have other issues that causes problem. And so about that time, it was 3 years into my research, he was patient number 1 to use the glutathione product. Until the time I've tried everything on him, right? Taking CoQ10, vitamin E, vitamin D3, magnesium, everything was on him. Testosterone replacement therapy, everything was taken, every single thing. Only thing that I add for him at the age of 78 was glutathione. All right? Fast forward. 2-3 years goes by. I forgot about him taking the product, like everything else, right? I was visiting him one day at his dinner table. He was pounding on sugars and carbs. I said, Dad, you're diabetic. What the hell are you doing? I said, oh, no. My sugar's under control. I said, wait a second. Give me your phone. I looked at his blood records out and said, oh my God, his A1C is under 5.7. It's been normal for almost a year and a half now. This is unusual. I said, are you still taking your pills for diabetes? I said, no, I'm just taking one pill now. I drop all the pills away. It's been a year and a half. The doctors just took all my pills away. I said, okay, all right, this is interesting. I had no idea that this is going to be helping with diabetes that fast. All right. And then I didn't pay attention. I was still dealing with it, giving the product to him and just moving on. He started traveling. He started walking into the world. And so I asked him, I said, hey, Dad, I know you're eating your foods unhealthily, but make sure you walk every single day. Because walk, here's the phone again. Health app, check it out. He walked 6 miles a day every day for the last 6 months or plus. I said, wait a second, Dad, you had arthritis. I have no pain anymore. No pain. And says, okay, this is very interesting now, right? About the time we were taking some trips to Hawaii and Costa Rica and just hiking trips and adventure trips. And my dad used to come with them at every trip. He'll come with us. I said, I want to be with the family the whole time. And then he'll join us on the trips. We went to Yosemite National Park for a hiking trip. He was there with. He went to Hawaii. He was there with us. He went to anywhere we wanted. Then he went on his own into Australia, New Zealand, went the Glacier Mountain over there, went to Alaska and enjoyed life over there. Every year he goes to India and Africa traveling. I said, Dad, he was literally living his life, right? A couple of years goes by, and now his hip is bothering him. And so he says, you know what? My knees I'm not walking straight. So let's go to the doctors. I saw the knee x-rays. Of course, arthritis was completely deformed. I goes, oh my God. And you have no pain. I said, nope, there's no pain. I said, we need both knee replaced. So how about we do one right now and one 6 months later? And my dad goes, no, God, no. And be 1 year in pain at this age? I don't have a year left, right? Both knees at the same time, both knees. And the doctor goes, oh, I don't know. I said, are you sure you want to do both knees? I say, of course, against the doctor's advice, he wanted to do both knees at the same time. So he did it. Literally 2 days later after the knee replacement surgery, he walked out of the hospital. So that was amazing for me to see that part. 30 days later, he was doing painful, right? Physical therapy. He was doing physical therapy. Somebody was coming down. And 3 months later, he goes to the doctor's office and say, hey, check me out, make sure everything's okay. I said, oh, everything is great. I mean, you're healing really, really fast. Normally it takes 6 months for you to get to the stage over here, but it looks like you're healing very fast. I said, great. That's what I wanted to hear, because next week I'm going to India. 3.5 months later, he was traveling again. Right? Traveling. He went to, we're from Africa. So he was in Africa. He went to India, traveling. During the COVID time, he was there the whole time, traveling everywhere. That was the best travel time, because everything was cheap. It was nobody at the airport. It was just the best time of his life. He traveled everywhere. Fast forward, last year, he was still in India, traveling. He has a house by the ocean in southern part of India. My mom passed away 25 years ago, so he's by himself. So he doesn't cook much, but he just eats out and just does everything on his own. He'll get some groceries and cut some apples and fruits like that, but eating out is on his own. Street food. I said, Dad, why are you eating street foods? Right? Because he can lose bowel movements. And I said, Dad, just eat regular restaurant foods, So just make sure you don't do stupid things. Of course, dehydration. Boom. Next morning, the shower falls down, break his skull. Right? But at the hospital, he calls and says, hey, I'm fine. I'm coherent. I mean, I can talk. I mean, no memory loss, nothing. I know the doctor at NFL, neurosurgeon. I said, call him right now. I said, oh my God, doctor so-and-so. I said, my dad just fell down in India. He says, let's see. Is he talking? Is he coherent? Does he have memory issues? I said, nope. He has no memory issue. He's talking perfectly fine. And it's absolutely, there's no slur. I said, okay, awesome. Don't do anything. Do not open. Do not do surgery. Nothing. Okay. 2 hours later, there was somebody visiting my dad in India. He arranged somebody to go see him. He calls us and says, hey, I'm with your dad right now. He seems to be okay. He's coherent. There's bleeding internally happening right now, but there's no memory loss. He knows everything. Everything's going on right now, and there's no pain. I said, awesome. Perfect. My dad goes, see, I told you, I'll be fine. Don't worry. I'll be back. My flight's already booked for the next 2 weeks. So I'll be spending about 10 days over here, and then I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll be back home. Okay, don't worry. Calls his brother, calls his sister, talks to everybody, and it was already getting too late at night time. He goes to sleep, and that was the last day. He never wakes up again. And so the reason I tell this story, if you're in the position where you think that you have outlived your life, and now you have diseases, and that you're just waiting for somebody to come pick you up on a golden chariot, guess what? You can make your own golden chariot right now. You can still live again. The last 10 years, my dad, I think he took almost 13 trips, 12 to 13 trips, right? And that's international trips. He also took local trips, right? He did everything possible to actually live his life. And so my urge to everybody is that if you stop living, please don't. You're still not dead. Take a chance. Do something good for you, right? I had a customer that is bedridden for almost 18 months. I said, that's not living life. I said, the wife calls me up and said, my husband's bedridden and I don't know what to do with it. I said, well, there's nothing to lose. Just try it out. See if he can get up. If he can get up in 3 days and start walking, hey, go have a coffee with him. Go take a stroll in the park if you have to, right? And that's my urge to everybody. And so anyways, thanks for listening to my story. I thank you for your time. I want to make sure that people get to hear my story because it's not about the product. It's about what it does for you. What you can achieve from it is more important to me than the product itself.
It's beautiful too, because it's so empowering to see someone in his state or their states and not accept their current conditions, their current circumstances as fatalistic, as like the end, as it very easily could have been for them if they had chose to adopt that belief, that stance, and they looked for clues that would affirm that in their existence. It's so cool to hear what everyone's capable of if they open their mind to it and they use some tools along the way.
Well, the other thing is that your body is so resilient little bit of hope, and it just grabs onto it and starts repairing itself. To me, that is such a powerful organ, such a powerful body we have, and we are clogging with some pharmaceuticals. I'm sorry, I'm in the pharmaceutical game as well myself, and I just see that there's such a huge potential for the body to just self-regulate, and we're just clouding it down. Anyways.
No, there's a book called Bioregulatory Medicine. It's all about like getting out of the body's way and letting it return to balance itself, because the body does all the healing, and we can help that process, but it's ultimately the body that's making those decisions. So if you guys want to learn more about the science of glutathione, you can pick up his book called The Glutathione Revolution. Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Nayan Patel, it's been a pleasure hosting you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for your time, your good stories, and your knowledge of all things glutathione science.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you enjoyed it, subscribe and hit the thumbs up. I love knowing who's in the 1% committed to reaching their full potential. Comment 1% below so that I know who you are. For all the resources and links, meet me on my website at mindbodypeak.com. I appreciate you and look forward to connecting with you. As a reminder, the information depicted in this video is for information purposes only. Please consult your primary healthcare professional before making any lifestyle changes.